It's 15 past 9. Well, 11 past 9, rather. That was Les Nubians coming all the way from France, Paris. Paris or Paris. Maqueda, right here on 105.9 FM. Now, our interviews are here. Our good friends from RESGATE, they've gotten here on time. So we're going to be handling the interview for the next 15 minutes. We'll be talking everything that has to do with movies, with cinema, specifically with this movie that's about to premiere in Mozambique. Berta, madame.
And actually, Ibrahim, excitement is on the air here. I mean, last year I interviewed Pipas here. He can confirm that. And he was talking about this movie, and they told me, I cannot say much about this movie. And I just waited, and today's the day. We're going to have all of this. So, hello, Pipas, and hello, Mike. Can we start this by saying hello?
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. So, how are you doing, first of all?
Oh, a bit nervous here and there, but looking forward to the launch of the film after all these years.
Well, let us start for asking you. Premiering Redemption next week, next Thursday, the 18th of July. You're premiering your movie 6 years after starting thinking about this. What is this movie about? First of all, the name of the movie is Redemption. We'll start with Mike.
Hi, thank you for having us on the program and for promoting our film. The film is basically about a young man who comes out of jail and he wants to do things right, wants to live an honest life. And he begins to do so with his family. But then one day he's surprised with the bank summons. His late mother had pawned the house to the bank, in exchange for money. And time's up, he's got to pay the debt, which he didn't know about. And if he doesn't pay the debt, the $30,000 debt, the bank will take the house, So he has to make choices. And basically, this is what the film is about. It's about the choices he makes and the consequences, and supposedly benefits or not that bring, So this is what the film is about. It's about this young man's life who's struggling and he has to take certain decisions.
It actually took you 6 years. I read somewhere that it took Mafia Films about 6 years from the beginning to the end of this project. Why did it take so long? What happened during these 6 years?
Well, 6 years until we started to shoot. Like 8 years to get it ready until now. We went through many processes, beginning with writing the script. Just writing the script it took a long time, and it changed. And it evolved during the years that we were writing and rewriting. And then finally, when we thought we had the script ready, we started casting. But even during the writing of the script, we already were looking for locations and all of that. So when we started casting, and we did a lot of casting, and we found most of the characters that we wanted the actors to fulfill the roles. And then we were missing the main character. And it took a long time to find the main character. And finally, we had everything in place, and we were thinking of starting to shoot. And our main actress, Arlette, called the director and said she was pregnant. Oh. So we could not shoot. And then we couldn't shoot for the whole time she was pregnant. And then we had to wait for the baby to grow a little bit, so it took another year. But in the meantime, the director had an idea. The director, who's the writer, who's Mickey, had an idea to incorporate the baby into the film. So there we went again, and he rewrote the story again to fit the baby into the film, which actually made the film, I think, and we both think, more interesting, more loving. And it was a long, arduous battle to make the film. And in the middle of all of that, finding money to make the film, which was really not finding money because we used our own money, and we used a bit of the money we made from a crowdfunding project we had, which was, we got the money, but it was it wasn't significant in the whole budget of making the movie. Basically, we financed the movie with our own Mafia Films cash that we made during the last 8 years.
We will actually go back to that topic, but before that, Ibrahim, can you imagine that? Like, We have the movie to shoot, and then hello, I'm pregnant. What is your idea?
And then the baby is nowhere near the storyline of the movie.
No, it didn't exist in the storyline.
And then, so like, and then you had to just go improvise and fit the kid right into the movie.
And I imagine
That's
how many
amazing.
times the script had to change in so many other things happening. What do you think? Were there many changes in the script? Not only this one, but many other changes.
Many, and even changes during shooting of the movie. So, and changes with dialogue because the actors also brought their own input into the film. So they help with changing the way the film is told because everybody contributed.
Listener, we are talking about the movie Redemption, which is going to be premiered next week, next Thursday, actually, here in Maputo and all over Mozambique. Is that right? All over Mozambique.
Not all over Mozambique, but Tet Maputo.
Yes.
Right. I want to know something concerning the cast. When you were out there looking for the cast, any challenges? When I look, I cannot imagine. You know, I want to start there. I want to look at it. Like I can just imagine how maybe hard it was for you to get the exact people you were looking for, given the fact that in Mozambique we don't have much of these initiatives happening, cinema, movies, actors and stuff. So I just want to know, how was it, the entire process? Just a little bit.
It was long, but let Mickey explain a bit of it.
Yeah, it was a long process. It was a long, interesting process because, through the process you also get to meet a lot of people you didn't think about, you didn't know about, and certain people actually surprise you, and make you start thinking about your story and the direction it's taking. I was quite specific because I knew who I wanted to work with, certain characters, When I wrote the film, certain characters, I already had certain actors in mind,
Right.
Hence I waited for Arlette to give birth because I was really convicted that this was my lead actress and I had to wait. And we tried to cast, but it just didn't feel the same. And we had to wait for her because, she was the one. And this went for every role. Everyone, was handpicked, and the most difficult one was the lead character. Because we really couldn't find him. I was looking for someone who has Gilles, eyes. I mean, his eyes for me tell everything about Bruno, And he had this certain thing in him that really reminded me of Bruno, and this is what I was looking for, and we couldn't find it until one day, Pipas looked at him and saw what I was looking for. And just called me up and I think we found the guy and he was the guy.
Somewhere in Maputo.
He's not an actor. He's a non-professional, and it took a lot of time, for him to get into it. It was quite a long process. It was I worked with him for the whole time, for the 6 years that we've been preparing. He's been present the whole time. There was intense moments, where we went away with him to Inyamban for 3 months, 2 months, and just stayed with him and consumed the story and consumed Bruno. He would come to my house on the weekends. We'd watch movies. We'd watch acting workshops. He really gave himself to the role. He wanted to become Bruno, and there was a point in his life where I don't think he could distinguish anymore whether it was Bruno or, because he really took it.
I'm telling you, people are going to start calling him Bruno.
And the hair, he had to, the beginning of the film, he was coming out of jail. We wanted to give this look that this guy is coming out of this really rough jail, somewhere out there with no conditions to cut your hair or beard or anything. So he had to grow his hair and his beard for 8 months, and looking funny in the streets and whatever. People probably thought he was going crazy, but I think that also helped him, understand the character and live the character, and he did an amazing job for me.
And it's amazing because as I was trying to find more about the movie, I realized that Bruno, which is the lead character and is played by Gilles Ismael, is an actor, but he had never had a lead lead role. And also, your villain doesn't have an acting background too.
Yeah, the villain also is the same kind of guy that never acted in any films, but he's an actor in real life. So, and he's somebody that Mickey knew, and we also we couldn't find this actor to fill this role.
Yeah, we casted quite a lot, and the villain and the protagonist, there's quite a few villains. They're all villains in the end. But for him, we also wanted to mix actors and non-actors and create this tension, which I think you feel in the film. Because the film is about betrayal, So, and we felt this in the film as well, where the actors and the non-actors were sometimes, pulling each other aside and whispering, look what that guy's doing. It's not, so we created this kind of vibe within the set, which was friendly, don't get me wrong, it was completely friendly, but at the same time, there was this fine line between actors, non-actors, the non-actors having the lead roles and the actors, having the secondary roles, but it brought something to the film and to the story and to each of the characters.
That's extremely bold. I don't know if I was a director, I don't know if I could cast a non-actor or a new actor to go straight to the lead roles.
You have to risk.
I'm being very serious about this. Yes, and let us talk, dear listener, we are talking about Redemption. It's a movie that's going to come out on next Thursday, the 18th of July. It's going to be next week, so you cannot lose this. And we here with two of the producers of the film, which are Miguel Fonseca and also Pipas Forjaz. So you were talking about the budget of this movie, which was about...
No. We don't really. Well,
we lost. It was a lot.
We kind of lost by now because
a
it's
lot
just,
of money.
The money changed, the economy changed.
It's always about
the
the
economy. 6
economy.
years, we started working. The dollar was 30, now it's 65.
But basically, it was all the money we had.
Yeah. Basically, we broke.
Yeah.
So people, you
Don't
better
watch
get
the movies.
Oh
my
so
God!
Cool.
This is
basically
this is inspiring to me because I have friends. I have close friends that have went their way out to actually buy cameras. I have this one friend. I'm sorry to just cut into the whole story. I have this friend of mine. He sold his car. Yeah. He went and he bought a Canon 60D. He's like, I love movies. And
well, that's the right thing to do.
It's like, I love movies. He bought that camera, and then he started DIY stabilizers, and he went in, he bought a drone, and this guy has been shooting. Whenever he starts shooting, he will shoot in the middle of the shooting, and then somehow, somewhere, he will have problems with the characters that he's using, and then somebody wouldn't want to work anymore with him, or somebody will now demand money, you need to pay us, there has to be money, this thing, it seems like it's not moving, it won't work. And then at one point he actually gave up on doing this whole thing. And when I hear your whole story that the funding came from your own, you guys had to take out your money and fund the project, it's not a lot of people that have the guts to go all out and see this thing happen at the end, Yeah. And this is impressive. It motivates, and I'm pretty sure that
it's nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
So let us continue talking about this. You were talking about crowdsourcing. How did the whole process start? How did you come with the idea? How did you share with the people? And how did you convince the people to give as much as they could to help in the production of Redemption?
Well, we got the idea because there were many other films, not African films, but American films mainly, that are produced through crowdfunding. But, people in America give to American films, and $100 for a person in America, it's a lot of money, but it's not like $100 for a person in Mozambique. So it's more like 1,000 meticais. But it's not 1,000, it's 6,000. But, in terms of what it's worth to the person. So, as I said, we did the whole crowdfunding thing. It wasn't very successful. It didn't reach the amount that we had hoped. But we do thank all the people that did give. the little that they could give, or as much as they could give. It was a good experience. I think that if we do another crowdfunding now, people would believe a bit more in us, because we've made a movie, we've proved that we can do it.
Yeah.
I don't think we would make very much more, because there's even less money now than there was when we did the crowdfunding, with all the problems that the country has. But it was a good experience. It was a good experience.
Okay, let's talk about now the locations of the movie. Was this movie just shot in Maputo, or Mickey was telling us that he had to take Bruno, which was the lead character, to Inhamban. Did you guys shoot in Inhamban, or you just went there to understand the character and then came back and just recorded, shot in Maputo?
The whole film was shot in Maputo. Inhamban is our refuge, is where we go to think, is where we go and work and switch off from Maputo.
That's kind of cool.
So yeah, whenever we can, when we're working on a project, we go to Inhamban. I suggest everyone. Well,
I need some fresh air.
But it was shot in Maputo, it was shot in Maracuan, it was shot in Matola, it was shot in Shangalan, and Bruno's house is in Infoland. Bairro do Infoland.
But it was a good experience. It was a good experience.
Okay, let's talk about now the locations of the movie. Was this movie just shot in Maputo, or Mickey was telling us that he had to take Bruno, which was the lead character, to Inhamban. Did you guys shoot in Inhamban, or you just went there to understand the character and then came back and just recorded, shot in Maputo?
The whole film was shot in Maputo. Inhamban is our refuge, is where we go to think, is where we go and work and switch off from Maputo.
That's kind of cool.
So yeah, whenever we can, when we're working on a project, we go to Inhamban. I suggest everyone. Well,
I need some fresh air.
But it was shot in Maputo, it was shot in Maracuan, it was shot in Matola, it was shot in Shangalan, and Bruno's house is in Infoland. Bairro do Infoland. It was quite challenging, to shoot in all these different places. I have to say that RESGATE was quite an ambitious, project.
A very ambitious project.
Quite an ambitious project in terms of like cost and locations, all being, far
quantity
away from each
of
other.
Sequences.
Quantity of people, it was a great learning experience. It was our first feature film. We've shot a lot, commercials, documentaries, short films. Have worked on a lot of other people's feature films, but we had never done our own. So it was tough. It was really tough.
But we'd do it again.
It's rewarding. We would do it again. We would definitely do it again. We're gonna do it again. We will make other films much better. We're gonna do other crowdfunding campaigns. So get ready. Because we're coming back again with more films. That's the idea.
And what about the dialogues in the movie? You shot in Maputo. Is the movie in Maputo? I mean, you shot here, but is the story of the movie happening in Maputo? The fictional story of the movie?
It's happening in a city. It could be in any city. I don't mention Maputo once in the film.
You do in the beginning.
You see a sign. You see a sign that says
you don't
Maputo
mention
in the beginning, but sure. I don't mention. It could be anywhere. It's a universal story. It's a story that could happen in South Africa, in Zambia, in Colombia, anywhere.
That because as I was reading about this movie, there is a place where I read that there is local language there. What local language did you use? Because you don't say where you are.
Oh, okay. So every character, in the film has a specific way of speaking, of acting. He has his own style. And one of the characters, who is the boss of the kidnappers, is a Shangan guy. So he mixes, like a lot of Shangan people mix, speaking Portuguese and Shangan, to the others, and he brings this sense of authenticity to his character by speaking like this. We wanted people to relate. Everybody, at least people, especially people from the South, because we're from the South, to relate to these characters in the way they spoke, in the way they walked and dressed, and the language factor was quite an important to bring. We all speak in different ways. We all use slangs that we all understand, and I wanted to bring this into the film. This is a bit of a gangster film, you know. It's a drama, but it's a gangster film. And gangsters have their way of talking, of acting, and we had to bring this in to add to its authenticity.
And what about the music in this film? We have, it's a 100% Mozambican movie, so do we have 100% of Mozambican music in this movie?
Definitely,
yeah.
Yeah, it's all Mozambican music. Yeah. It's we are part of a recording label as well, you know. So we work with a lot of musicians, local musicians, from hip hop artists to reggae artists to to jazz artists, all kinds of African music. So we've been developing this relationship with musicians the whole time, even before we even shot the film. We've recorded so many albums with musicians. So we have a strong relationship with Milton Guli and Nandel Magoon, who are the producers and the guys that composed the soundtrack for the film. Most of the songs are Nandel's songs. Most of the songs are original compositions by Milton Guli, so it's all original compositions. And then we took a few tracks from, that people know, like there's a track from Azagaya, there's a track from Zico, there's a track from Tatiana Tome, so we tried to incorporate as much. We wanted this film to be as 100% Mozambican as possible. This film was shot in Mozambique by Mozambicans with a Mozambican crew
and
cast, and with no foreign money or fund money or anything. It was, and we are proud to say that it took us all this time, but the film is 100% Mozambican.
And we are proud to say that this is the first Mozambican independent film. And when we say independent, it's a movie that has no strings attached. We don't have Portuguese funding, French funding, Brazilian funding, nothing of that. It's Mozambican 100%.
Or any of the actors that come with this funding.
Yeah, because what happens when you fund it by the Portuguese or the Brazilians, suddenly you have to have a Portuguese actor or a Brazilian actor or a Portuguese crew, and it's our movie.
So you have total control of the movie.
Total,
completely,
100%.
Because
we could post it on Facebook
if we want.
You know what? This is great because I've seen like other movies that were made here. You just hear the premiering day. It shows, and then eventually it's nowhere else to be seen. You can't hear. You won't see it nowhere. Not on DVD. Nowhere. Basically, it just vanishes. And I don't know why is it so, but maybe it's also because of what you guys just mentioned right now. I'm just assuming the fact of not having a total control of your material.
Not only not total control, as they completely 100% funded. And you don't really have to justify if you sold one ticket or not. Yeah. This is funded by us. We better sell a few tickets.
So you need your money back. You need your money back. Yeah.
We'll never make it. I don't know if we'll make all the money back, but you have to make some of it back.
Yeah.
At least to pay a salary for us.
Yeah. And it forces us to work even harder. It really forces us to work even harder. I feel like we are constantly like paving the way. Constantly.
Yeah. And we have to do everything because we went from making the movie to selling the movie to putting up posters to giving the convite, the invitations
to doing the radio
to making
shows,
the posters.
Everything. Do everything. It hasn't stopped.
Everything.
Stopped here.
By the waters.
Taking the blame if the film doesn't work.
And
Serious.
So it's a lot of work. So for all the youngsters out there, it's great. It's really great. It's satisfying. After all this time to see the film out there, but it's a lot of hard work, and if you're not prepared to work hard,
don't get into this business.
Become an accountant.
Do something else.
But if you're really willing and you
take
can
risks.
tell a story, and you're passionate about it, go for it. It's a risk, but life is a risk. Life is a gamble, and we constantly gambling with other things. So we just gambled with what we love.
As your friend did, sell the car and buy a camera, and I applaud that.
Yeah,
go for your dreams.
But I also think if private businesses, you know, invested a bit, saw this as an industry, saw this as a way to to advertise stuff, you know, like for example on RESGATE we try to get to people and certain brands to understand that you can do products placement in our film, you know. The only people that got that was Interposto, who gave us their cars, you know, and Aguas da Namahasha, who gave us water for the crew throughout the film. For the 40 days, we didn't buy a single bottle of water because they gave us all the water. But in exchange, we product placed in the film. It's so subtle that you won't even see it, but it's there,
it's
you know. So there's so many other things that we could, you know, Gringo could come in with clothes, Hugo Boss around the corner, you know. We tried Puma, for example. I'm gonna burn them a little bit. We tried Puma, for example. Who could have sponsored us the gas for the cars during the action sequences? And we had told them, you know what? We're gonna write a scene where our guys run out of petrol. They go into your thing, get the petrol, and boom, there's Puma. They didn't click. You understand? So I think that
beer company didn't click.
Yeah,
we have them drinking beer. You know, they're gangsters. They drink beer. We had to make our own beer. We invented our own beer
because the beer companies didn't click.
Yeah.
But you watch James Bond, you watch Avengers, you watch
James
any
Bond
of
is
the
always
films
having
that
a
are in the
martini.
cinema.
You know,
Yeah.
You know, it's always product placement.
He's
So
always got
I
an
will,
Aston Martin.
you know, people
should.
People should wake up, man, and start looking at other ways of. It's not just about a 15-second commercial, or it's about the long run. This film's gonna travel. This film is gonna go places, and Agua da Namasha and Interposto, who are the smart ones, are gonna go with it everywhere in the country.
Yeah.
You understand? And this is what other brands should start really thinking about.
And it's
because
not in your
this
face.
is the way
It's subtle.
that we can develop an industry just by, you know, flipping the page and flipping ideas.
That's one side of the thing is companies that, but the other side I see is the state is to give concessions to companies that can give money to films that then they can take it off their taxes. Okay. So it's like giving, but you know, it's making the economy because we pay
to
we
films,
pay,
to culture, you know,
to culture more. Films, music, but films is an important part because it's an image that stays. You know, and you can watch a movie in 10 years' time and you remember, oh, that's how the country was. That's the story of the country.
I mean, we shot a film 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Or 11 years ago, Masha,
yeah.
right? In Shikelen.
Yeah.
10 years ago, Shikelen wasn't like that. It was a complete mess, you know.
And we have it on image.
And we shot it all like on a crane, on a top shot, and you see like what Shikelen looked like 10 years ago, and what actually how the government and municipality actually worked to change it, you know, and it's all documented. So it's so many other ways that you know
for history of the country.
I think there's a lack of interest. There's not much interest, but people should really get interested because films bring up topics, you know, films. And we can see ourselves in films and talk about it.
And it's an industry, you know, it gives work, it gives salaries, it gives not just to the people that work on the film, but you got the extras, you got all of those people, you know.
Yeah, it's a string of.
You got the locations, you got
the restaurants, you got the transport, the petrol. It's
an
huge.
industry.
That's why South Africa makes over $1 billion a year just on commercials and you know and films that shoot in the country. So we should really start looking at this as an industry as opposed to just a few guys trying to make.
Just those few films, big films that were made here. How much money did they bring? Ali, Blood Diamond, Diana, Sean Banan, and a few more, and they brought quite a lot of cash into the country. And and they bring the money in. You know, it's not money that goes out, money that comes and stays.
And Jonathan, he was part of Blood Diamond. You didn't know that.
We both
Did
worked
you?
on Blood
You
Diamond.
you knew that they were part of Blood Diamond, didn't
How
you?
do you know that I did not know that?
I'm telling the listener that you knew that they were part of. Didn't you? Hello. Okay. So we are talking to two of the producers of Redemption, which in Portuguese is RESGATE. It's a movie to be premiered next week, the 18th of July, in Lusomundo cinemas, mostly in Maputo and Tete province. Am I right?
And maybe in numa as well.
Okay. And now I think we should talk a little bit more about Mahla's work. First of all, what is Mahla? What is Mahla? You guys are from Mahla, but what is Mahla?
Mahla is a company that me and Mickey decided to found. Before we made Mahla, we made a film called Mahla.
Yes.
And the film was our first movie. Mickey wrote it. And we got actually, in those times, there was some funding for films. We got some funding from the Germans. We got some funding from the French. And we were able to make our first short film called Mahla. And it was very well accepted, and it went quite a few places in the world. We went to a lot of festivals. And then we started, we had lots of work that we decided, let's just make a company. Because, it's a bit difficult to have all this work and have no company. And we actually got a big project which we shot, I think was 4 or 5 short movies for Nueti.
Okay.
And then we really had to make a company, because if not, we couldn't sign any contracts.
Yeah.
So we made the company Mahla. And then it's been going from then to now. We mostly make commercials. And we do a lot of service jobs, which, what's a service job? Is films or commercials that want to come and shoot in Mozambique. We take care of all the bureaucracy and all the locations and the casting and all of that, and we take care of all of that for them.
And in this period, you've been working with Mahla for how long?
We founded Mahla in 2010.
2010. It's
Yeah.
almost 10 years.
Yeah.
It's 9 years. And what other movies did you do during this time?
We shot short films. We
Yes.
shot Dina. We shot Lobolo. We shot Jesus, my memory is gone. Films I've shot. Even Mickey's thinking here.
It was such a long time ago.
Well, we shot. You can see them on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yes.
We've shot quite a bit. We've shot a lot of commercials as well. I mean, there's
Commercials
quite a
is
few commercials on
hundreds
TV.
of commercials. Yeah.
And it's quite exciting because all the topics in these movies are related to the Mozambican society, what's happening in Mozambique. I know that some of them are about domestic violence.
Yes.
And this is very good to know that people are seeing what's happening and they're taking this to the world. It's very exciting to know that you guys are working
Oh,
on
and
that.
we found out just a few days ago that these movies are being used in some universities in America,
So,
which was, I was very surprised. Somebody from off the street came in. They saw Mahla films. We've
Yeah,
got a
an
big
American
painting.
guy, yeah.
An American guy saw Mahla films on our wall, painted on our wall. He walked in and said, "Man, just want to let you know that I've watched your films." I said, "Oh, how did you watch our films?" I said, "Well, they show your films in university in America."
and look
It
at
was
this.
like,
This is
what?
beautiful. That's thrilling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they never paid us anything.
No royalties, no nothing.
Nothing.
It's not, yeah, but that's.
Did you get the university number?
No, I didn't get it.
You should
Give
have
them
called
a-
them.
Yeah. Anyway, it's good that they're using our movies.
Yeah, it's spreading across the globe.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they should pay somehow.
You should pay. That's yeah. So we are just on the end of the interview. This was a very nice interview. I learned a lot. I hope you guys liked it too. And yeah, it was great. And we want to know what are the next plans. Actually, first, what is the expectation for Thursday, and then what are the next plans from Mahla?
Hey, the expectation
Well,
for Thursday.
expectations for Thursday. We hope it sells out. We hope it really sells out.
I
The
hope it
whole
sells out
weekend,
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, at least.
at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Throughout the country.
Yeah.
Like people said, it's gonna be in Lusomundo, Maputo, Matola, and then it's
New
also
Metro.
gonna be in Tete and at New Metro. So yeah, we wish we had more cinemas in the country, so everyone could see it at the same time, but unfortunately not. So we're gonna do first screenings in the big cinemas, and then we're going to start eventually taking it out to the smaller venues around the country.
Wherever we can.
Never forgetting Nyambane.
Never forgetting in Nyambane.
Nyambane's got a cinema there, so we hope we can show a movie there. Yeah.
Well, me in closing, basically, I just want you guys to leave us with something like all the filmmakers out there. I know there's a lot of them out there that are trying to get in the game, but some are giving up. Some right now, by just hearing your story, they will go out there and start doing something with it. I just want you guys to give them your last word, the word of hope. Encourage them on how they can make it to where you guys are right now. What is it that they should do?
Well, I think you just have to follow their dreams, work hard, don't give up, invest what they have in their dreams, and if they're good, the dreams might come true.
Well, there you have it. 105.9 FM, Maputo Corridor Radio, the English language service of Radio Mozambique. It's 46 right after 9. We were here covering the RESGATE Redemption movie that's to show on Thursday at Cinema Lusumundu, Matola, Maputo, New Metro, as well as other areas across the country.
Yeah, and it will stay there for the next 3 weeks. So it starts on Thursday and it stays there for 3 weeks.
Are you guys aware about the price of the tickets?
They vary, but
For Lusumundu,
I'm not very good.
on Mondays cheaper.
It's 200. Let me see. I can get you that. Better talk about something else.
Well, this is Mozambican movie. Redemption is a Mozambican
I've got the
movie.
prices
Yes,
here.
and the prices are coming from Pipas Forjaz right now.
Jesus! on the opening night, normal tickets at Luzumundo are 360 meticais, VIP are 440 meticais. From Tuesday to Sunday, they're 340 meticais for normal, 420 for VIP. And on Monday, which is the day that everybody should go to the cinema, it's 280 meticais.
Wow, so the prices vary. It's around $6 to $7, and money it's going to be even cheaper. It's going to be like $4.
So when are we going? On Monday?
It depends on you.
I'm going on Thursday.
I'm just going whenever you want me to. I'm on. Okay, you can just.
All right, and that's how we wrap up our interview right here on 105.9 FM.